They were once icons of glamour, glitz and glamour on the red carpet, living in luxurious mansions and admired by millions. But time always changes everything. There are stars who once stood at the pinnacle of glory, only to then fall into unexpected misfortunes, losing their fame, fortune, and even their stable lives. In today's video, we'll explore true, surprising, and emotional stories of individuals who once had it all but lost it all. What caused them to fall so deeply? And did any of them truly rise again and start over? If you find this content interesting, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next stories. Loni Willison was once considered a promising face in the fitness modeling world, appearing in magazines and attending numerous fashion events. She was also married to actor Jeremy Jackson, known for the Baywatch series. At the time, Loni's life seemed like an image of glamour and success, everything shining brightly under the Hollywood lights. But behind that seemingly perfect facade lay a turbulent journey. After the relationship ended and her career stalled, her life took a completely different turn. In the years that followed, Loni faced serious difficulties, including homelessness and persistent mental and physical health problems. Currently, she spends most of her time on the streets of Venice Beach, completely detached from the glamorous image the public once knew her for. Loni has shared that past traumas, particularly from a previous relationship, have left her deeply affected both psychologically and emotionally, making her life more difficult to manage. She has also spoken about feeling uneasy in enclosed spaces, claiming to be sensitive to electrical or metallic elements in her environment. These experiences have made her daily life even more challenging. The causes of Loni's current situation can be viewed from various perspectives, ranging from prolonged psychological trauma to past health issues. However, what is clear is that someone once admired for her beauty and career has fallen into a challenging situation, becoming a heartbreaking example of the fragility of life without timely mental and physical support. MC Hammer was not only a famous rapper, but also a pop culture icon in the 90s. With his hit song, You Can't Touch This, his energetic performances, and distinctive fashion style, he quickly became ubiquitous, from television and commercials to family entertainment shows. At his peak, his name was synonymous with immense wealth and fame. However, along with that rapid success came enormous spending. Hammer invested heavily in a lavish lifestyle, including renovating a massive mansion, owning numerous expensive vehicles such as cars, a private jet, and other luxury assets. He also maintained a large staff to support his personal life, clearly demonstrating his unlimited spending power during the height of his career. But as the music market changed, the spotlight gradually faded. New products no longer held the same appeal as before, while the cost of living remained very high. This prolonged financial imbalance led him into serious difficulty, forcing him to face significant economic and asset pressures. Despite experiencing a crisis, MC Hammer didn't choose to give up. He began to change his lifestyle, cut back on spending, and learn to manage his finances more practically. From there, he gradually rebuilt his image, no longer just as a performing artist, but also as someone involved in business and sharing life experiences. MC Hammer's story became a prime example of the ups and downs of fame, and also showed that even after losing everything, people can still find a new path if they know how to adjust and start again correctly. Jan-Michael Vincent was once considered one of Hollywood's quintessential masculine faces of the 1970s and 80s. With his strong physique, cold gaze, and captivating demeanor, he quickly rose to prominence, particularly through his role in Airwolf, one of the most popular television series of the time. At the peak of his career, he was seen as a promising star with significant influence on the small screen. However, behind that glamour lay a life full of turmoil. From the late 1970s onwards, Jan began to face numerous personal troubles. He repeatedly encountered legal issues related to illegal substances, along with uncontrolled behavior and incidents while intoxicated. His reckless lifestyle and a series of missteps led his life down a negative path. During that time, He also suffered several serious accidents, leaving severe health consequences and long-lasting impacts on his mobility and daily life. Both physical and mental trauma caused his career to rapidly decline, while opportunities in the entertainment industry gradually disappeared. When he was no longer in front of the camera, Jan-Michael Vincent's life became much more difficult. His finances declined, his fame faded, and he gradually lived a quiet life, completely away from the spotlight. At times, he lived quite quietly in various locations, isolated from the Hollywood world that had brought him to the peak of his career. When he passed away in his 70s, the news did not generate as much attention as during the peak of his career. His quiet passing brought to a close the journey of a star who was once brilliant but also full of upheaval. Jan-Michael Vincent's story serves as a reminder that fame can easily fade, and that without maintaining balance in life, anyone can lose everything. Leif Garrett was one of the most prominent teen idols of the 1970s. With his handsome looks, long, romantic hair, and captivating presence in front of the camera, he quickly became a frequent face in youth magazines, loved and admired by millions. At that time, Leif was seen as a role model for early fame and success in the entertainment industry. However, behind that glamour lay a turbulent reality. At a very young age, he was exposed to unhealthy habits, revealing the dark side of growing up in a world of fame too early. Before reaching adulthood, Leif was involved in a serious incident related to driving under the influence, resulting in a fatal accident for a passenger. This event became a major turning point, causing his life to take a completely different path. Following that incident, instead of trying to stabilize his life, Leif became even more deeply entrenched in prolonged personal problems. His once promising artistic career was interrupted and lost momentum, while legal troubles and an uncontrolled lifestyle piled up. Over time, he gradually disappeared from the spotlight and lost his former position in the entertainment industry. Later, Leif's life fell into severe financial hardship. He no longer possessed significant assets and had to rely on family support to survive. From a sought-after teen star, he became the complete opposite of his brilliant past. Although he occasionally reappeared in some artistic or media activities, his former glory was gone. Leif Garrett's story serves as a stark reminder that fame, if achieved too early and without proper guidance and control, can lead to unpredictable consequences in a person's life. David Cassidy was one of the most beloved music and television idols of the 1970s. With his distinctive voice and warm, approachable image, he quickly became an icon for the younger generation, especially through his role in the Partridge Family. At his peak, David was considered the ideal role model for fame and success in the entertainment industry. However, his life behind the scenes was not as glamorous as his television persona. Over time, he faced many prolonged personal difficulties, including issues related to controlling his emotions and lifestyle. The pressures of early fame and personal life events gradually affected his public image and career. In later life, David was repeatedly involved in incidents related to drunk driving, bringing his name back into the media spotlight, but no longer with the positive image he had before. Despite his efforts to change and adjust his life, regaining complete balance was not easy. In his final years, he openly shared about his personal struggles and health problems, as well as experiencing significant financial and lifestyle changes. From a star admired by millions, he gradually withdrew from the spotlight and lived a more private life. David Cassidy's passing left many fans around the world deeply saddened. His story serves as clear evidence that fame cannot completely conceal inner struggles, and that behind the dazzling spotlight lie hidden aspects that not everyone sees. Mindy McCready was once considered one of the most prominent voices in American country music. With her emotionally rich voice and songs that touched the hearts of listeners, she quickly established a strong position on the charts and gained widespread public adoration. At her peak, her name was synonymous with the image of a talented and promising artist. However, behind the glitz and glamour of the stage lay a life of constant turmoil and prolonged pressure. Mindy faced a series of personal difficulties, including mental health issues, legal troubles, and years of dependence on unhealthy habits. Her private life was constantly under media scrutiny, subjecting her personal vulnerabilities to public pressure. Throughout that period, she received numerous treatments and tried to find ways to stabilize her life, but the difficulties seemed to never cease. A series of unfortunate events made her recovery journey incredibly difficult, with each step bringing new mental and emotional challenges. Later, a heartbreaking personal tragedy severely impacted her mental health. This shock became an insurmountable turning point, plunging her into deep despair. Not long after, she passed away, leaving behind two young children and many unanswered questions about the pressures she had endured. Mindy McCready's untimely death left many fans deeply saddened. Her story serves as a profound reminder that behind the glitz and glamour of fame, there are always silent battles, and sometimes these are the hardest things to overcome in a person's life. Gary Coleman was born on February 8, 1968, in Zion, Illinois, and quickly rose to prominence as one of America's most prominent child stars, thanks to his role as Arnold Jackson in the series Different Strokes, 1978 to 1986. His iconic line, "What you talking about, Willis?" became a cultural icon, earning him worldwide recognition and affection. Despite his early success, Gary's life was far from as glamorous as his on-screen persona. After achieving fame, he faced serious financial problems and protracted legal disputes over past income management, leaving him financially unstable. As his career stalled after the series ended, Gary struggled to regain his footing in the entertainment industry. He tried his hand at various jobs to make ends meet, but none provided the long-term stability he had before. In the years that followed, his life continued to be turbulent, and he faced numerous personal challenges. Nevertheless, Gary Coleman will always be remembered as an important part of American television history. He passed away in 2010 at the age of 42 after a serious health problem, leaving many fans saddened. Despite his tumultuous life, his roles hold a special place in the hearts of audiences across generations. Margot Kidder was once one of Hollywood's most respected actresses, leaving a lasting impression on audiences with her role as Lois Lane in the Superman series. She worked with many big names in film and maintained close relationships with numerous celebrities, becoming a familiar face on screen for many years. However, behind that dazzling spotlight lay a turbulent life that the public didn't see. In the mid-1990s, Margot's image surprised many when she fell into hardship, living a nomadic life and lacking stability. These periods reflected a harsh reality. Her mental health had been severely affected for a long time without proper support from the outset. At one point, she was found homeless, relying on the help of those around her to sustain her precarious existence. Those days were a challenging period, as she faced isolation, instability, and prolonged psychological difficulties. Later, thanks to support from her family and medical facilities, Margot gained access to professional care and began to gradually stabilize her life. This was a crucial period that helped her regain balance after years of turmoil. In the following years, Margot Kidder not only focused on physical recovery, but also became an advocate for mental health issues. She shared her experiences to help the community better understand the complexity of mental disorders and the importance of timely support. She emphasized that mental health can change anyone's life if not properly addressed, and that understanding and listening are essential in society. Her sharing was more cautionary than pessimistic, aiming for empathy and broader awareness. From a shining star on screen to challenging periods in her life, and then gradually rediscovering herself, Margot Kidder's journey has become a meaningful story. It shows that even when people go through dark times, they still have the opportunity to rise up and continue their own journey if they receive support and do not give up on themselves. Rocky Lockridge was once a talented boxer and lightweight champion who reached the peak of his career. Known for his powerful punches, excellent technique, and impressive achievements in the ring, he became a formidable name in the boxing world. However, after retiring, his life quickly descended into a difficult period. Personal problems began to emerge and worsened, causing him to gradually lose his mental and daily stability. From a celebrated champion, he faced immense challenges outside the ring. In the years that followed, Lockridge experienced many major setbacks, including the loss of his family, a significant financial decline, and a precarious life. At one point, he lost his home and lived in very difficult conditions. Furthermore, his health was severely affected by accumulated injuries from his competitive career and persistent life problems. Later, his health continued to deteriorate after a serious medical incident, significantly impacting his mobility. Despite this, his story continues to be talked about, especially through images that show a man who has experienced profound ups and downs. Rocky Lockridge appeared on a program sharing his personal life, where he revealed his true feelings about what he had gone through. That moment garnered much attention, not only because of his past, but also because of the image of a former champion facing the harsh consequences of life. Rocky Lockridge's story serves as a reminder that glory in sports does not guarantee an easy life after retirement. Even those who were once very strong in the ring can face enormous challenges in real life. Todd Bridges is widely known for his role as Willis Jackson in the popular comedy series Diff'rent Strokes from the late 1970s to the mid-1980s. Thanks to his portrayal of the older brother in the Jackson family, alongside Gary Coleman's character Arnold, he quickly became a familiar face on American television. From a young age, Todd entered the spotlight and was loved by the public as a promising child star. Despite his promising start, his life behind the scenes was far from simple. As he grew older, Todd faced many persistent personal difficulties, particularly those related to self-control and unhealthy habits. These challenges led him through numerous setbacks, including legal troubles and periods of disorientation. However, instead of giving up, Todd began to reflect on himself and gradually sought change. He proactively engaged in the process of adjusting his life, focusing on rebuilding his spirit and moving towards a more stable lifestyle. This journey wasn't easy, but it marked a crucial turning point that helped him gradually regain his balance. Later, Todd Bridges became a frequent sharer of his personal story with the public, particularly about the difficulties he faced in overcoming past challenges. He used his own experiences to convey a positive message, encouraging people to seek support during crises and not give up in the face of adversity. Despite the ups and downs in his acting career, Todd continued to appear in several film and television projects. More importantly, he became known as someone who overcame many major challenges in life, becoming proof that people can still change and rise again if they persevere and are determined. Todd Bridges' story is not just a personal journey, but also a reminder that past hardships don't necessarily determine the future, and that recovery is always possible if you don't give up on yourself. Ray Williams was once a notable name in American professional basketball, known for his role as captain of the New York Knicks and as a key player for the Boston Celtics during their run to the finals in the mid-1980s. With his impressive skills and influence on the court, he was expected to have a stable and successful future after retiring from basketball. However, Ray's post-retirement life didn't unfold as expected. After his sports career ended, he didn't enjoy the comforts and stability of many of his contemporaries. Instead, he faced persistent difficulties, particularly financially and in terms of living conditions, making his life increasingly challenging over time. Later, Ray Williams' image resurfaced when he was spotted living alone in a Florida area. That moment came as a shock to many fans, as it was a stark contrast to the image of a player who had once stood at the pinnacle of professional basketball. Ray's difficulties didn't stem from extravagant habits or uncontrolled spending, but primarily from the lack of adequate support systems for athletes after retirement. He spoke out about the fact that many players, after leaving the court, don't receive the attention they deserve, despite dedicating most of their careers to the sport. Over time, his financial situation deteriorated, forcing him to seek legal solutions related to bankruptcy. Despite trying to adapt to his new life, Ray faced many obstacles in rebuilding his career outside of sports. Ultimately, he passed away after a long battle with illness, ending the journey of a former basketball star. Ray Williams' story leaves much to ponder about the reality behind the glamour of sports, where not everyone is adequately prepared for life after their playing career ends. Bobby Driscoll was once one of Hollywood's most prominent child stars, considered a jewel of Disney during its golden age. He left a lasting impression by voicing Peter Pan and winning a prestigious Academy Award for his role in The Window, 1950. At that time, Bobby was expected to become a major star with a bright future in the film industry. However, that glory didn't last as long as many hoped. As he entered adulthood, Bobby gradually lost Hollywood's attention. Acting opportunities became scarce, and he began to feel lost and directionless in the entertainment industry. His personal life also became unstable, leading to serious consequences. In the following years, Bobby faced serious mental health and lifestyle issues. He became entangled in negative habits, went through a prolonged period of hardship, and repeatedly ran into trouble with the law. Although he had opportunities to return, reintegrating into normal life and regaining his former career was almost impossible. Later, Bobby shared in a few rare public appearances that his life had become unstable. He no longer had a fixed residence, and he lived isolated from society. These admissions reflected the harsh reality of the decline of a talent once highly anticipated by Hollywood. His life ended quietly when he was found dead in an abandoned building, without any identification. His death went unnoticed for a long time, and only years later did the story gradually become more widely known, shocking the public. Bobby Driscoll was buried in a mass grave, bringing to a close the journey of a former child star who once shone brightly but ended in loneliness. His story became a haunting reminder of the fragility of fame, especially when the spotlight comes too early without preparation for the harsh changes that follow. Barkley was a professional boxer who made a significant mark on the history of world boxing. With 3 championship titles in different weight classes, he was considered a highly skilled fighter, defeating many renowned opponents and reaching the peak of his fame in the 80s and 90s. During his prime, he also earned a considerable income, reflecting his status as a champion. However, as his fighting career drew to a close, his life became unstable. Financial difficulties arose, and a lack of long-term planning quickly depleted his accumulated savings. Over time, he became disoriented in his post-professional life. During a difficult period, Barkley experienced instability, lacking a fixed residence and having to seek temporary accommodation in various places. The image of a former world champion falling into such a difficult situation surprised many, due to the stark contrast to his peak in the ring. However, Barkley didn't completely give up. During his most difficult times, he received help from several organizations and communities supporting former athletes, allowing him to gradually regain stability in his life. From that foundation, he gradually rebuilt his life in a new direction. Later, Barkley began coaching and sharing his experience with young fighters. He used his own experiences to inspire and remind the next generation about both the glory and the downsides of a professional sports career. Barkley's story is not just about decline or loss, but also about a journey of rising above adversity. It shows that even when someone is at the peak of their career, life can change very quickly, but with willpower and the right support, they can still find a new path forward. Erin Moran was once considered one of the most beloved faces on American television, especially for her role as Joni Cunningham in the classic sitcom Happy Days. At the peak of her career, she possessed fame, public attention, and a solid place in the hearts of viewers, becoming a familiar face on the small screen at the time. But as the spotlight faded, Erin's life began to change for the worse. Her career lost its appeal, job opportunities became scarce, leading to financial and personal pressures. While there were periods of stability, over time, things became increasingly difficult and unsustainable. Later, Erin was forced to leave her familiar home in California and move to a more modest home in Indiana with relatives. However, her new life did not offer the stability she had hoped for. The conflicts and difficulties in her daily life made the situation increasingly tense, forcing her to constantly change residences and live in uncertainty. In her final years, Erin Moran's image occasionally reappeared, but no longer associated with the glamour of the past. Her life passed quietly, far removed from the entertainment world that had brought her fame. Then, news of her passing came as a shock and caused much regret. Erin died at the age of 56 after a long battle with illness, ending the journey of a once beloved television star. Her passing left many viewers with much to ponder about the harsh changes of time and the entertainment industry. From a childhood icon on screen to a tumultuous life behind the spotlight, Erin Moran's story serves as a reminder that fame can fade quickly and that behind the glamour lie hidden aspects that the public doesn't always see. Danny Bonaduce was once one of the most prominent child stars on American television, widely known for his role in The Partridge Family. With his image as a smart, quick-witted red-haired boy on screen, he was an important part of a popular and much-loved television show at the time. However, behind that early fame lay a life of turmoil that lasted for many years. As an adult, Danny faced serious issues related to his lifestyle and mental health. The pressures of early fame, along with personal difficulties, gradually destabilized his life. During a difficult period, he was homeless, living temporarily in his car and experiencing very uncertain times. Although he is still recognized by some fans, few know the reality behind the glamour and the challenging life he is facing. Danny Bonaduce then made an effort to change his life by breaking away from old habits and seeking a new direction. He gradually rebuilt his career in broadcasting, becoming a radio host and regaining stability in both his work and personal life. During this period, he also found greater balance in his relationships and family life. However, his journey was not entirely smooth. Later, Danny faced serious health problems, particularly neurological disorders, forcing him to gradually reduce his professional activities and eventually withdraw from the profession after medical interventions. Danny Bonaduce's story is a journey full of ups and downs, from the glory of being a child star to difficult times, and then the struggle to rediscover himself. It reflects the reality that life behind fame isn't always easy, and the ability to bounce back after setbacks is sometimes even more remarkable than the initial glory. Houston McTear is known as one of the most impressive sprinters in track and field history. Even as a high school student, he made a splash with his incredible short-distance sprints, elevating his humble origins in Florida and opening the door to professional sports in California, where he trained and interacted with many prominent figures in the sports world. By the late 1970s, McTear reached the peak of his career. He was widely recognized, appeared in prestigious sports publications, and was expected to become a promising member of the U.S. Olympic team. However, a major setback occurred when his Olympic dream was interrupted by the U.S. boycott of the Olympics, tragically cutting short his international competition. Following that shock, McTear's career gradually declined. Personal difficulties and a loss of direction after reaching the peak of his athletic career led him into a prolonged period of crisis. At one point, he lived in extremely difficult conditions, without stable housing, and relied on support from community organizations to survive. Despite these hardships, McTear did not completely give up. In his journey of rediscovering himself, he received help from those around him and gradually stabilized his life. Later, he rebuilt positive relationships and found a new balance in his personal life, including a relationship with a former athlete. Houston McTear's story is a clear example of the ups and downs in the life of a top athlete. It shows that even when people face great losses and difficult turning points, they can still find a new path if they don't give up hope and continue to strive to rise again. Brett Butler was once one of the most prominent faces in American television, particularly for her starring role in the comedy series Grace Under Fire. This role not only brought her widespread fame, but also earned her recognition from critics, including nominations for major awards. At her peak, she had a stable career, good income, and a solid position in the entertainment industry. However, behind that success was a period of significant pressure and upheaval in her personal life. During her work, Brett faced serious issues related to mental health and lifestyle, causing her life to gradually lose balance. These difficulties lasted for many years and directly impacted her career in television. Although she later made significant efforts to change, including seeking support and gradually regaining control of her personal life, her return to the entertainment industry was not as easy as before. She left Hollywood and chose a quieter life in rural Georgia, where she spent time caring for animals and trying to rebuild her mental stability. However, her new life wasn't entirely smooth sailing. Financial difficulties gradually resurfaced, causing her to go through a very difficult period. At one point, Brett had to seek help from community support services to temporarily stabilize her life before she could stand on her own 2 feet again. After a long hiatus, she began to return to the entertainment industry, trying her hand at various fields, including reality television and stand-up comedy, where she had started her career. This was seen as an attempt to reconnect with her original passion and rediscover herself. Brett Butler's story vividly reflects the ups and downs of the entertainment industry, where fame can come quickly but can also disappear at any moment. At the same time, it also shows that even though people go through many difficult periods, there is always an opportunity to start over if they persevere and do not give up. Dana Plato was once one of the most beloved young faces in American cinema. At just 14 years old, she made a strong impression playing Kimberly Drummond in the popular sitcom Different Strokes. Her radiant appearance, bright smile, and natural presence in front of the camera led many to believe she would soon become one of Hollywood's most promising stars. However, behind that dazzling spotlight lay a completely different reality. As the show drew to a close, Dana's stability began to crumble. From then on, she was caught up in a series of poor decisions and increasingly heavy mental pressure. For years afterward, she faced serious psychological difficulties, substance abuse issues, and legal troubles that further exacerbated her predicament. At one point, Dana had no stable place to live, relying on temporary shelters, completely distancing herself from the spotlight that had propelled her to fame. Nevertheless, she still tried to find opportunities to start over, and there was a time when things seemed to be turning around. In a television appearance, Dana shared her journey of overcoming her past and her desire for recognition. However, the conversation became heavy as she faced skepticism and negative reactions from live viewers. Not long after that moment, she fell into tragedy and passed away under heartbreaking circumstances. That ending was not what anyone who loved her expected, and certainly not the price a young talent deserved to pay. From a promising child star to a sad Hollywood story, Dana Plato's journey remains a profound reminder of the dark side of fame and the harsh realities of the entertainment industry. Natasha Lyonne was one of the familiar faces of 1990s cinema, appearing in many popular films such as Slums of Beverly Hills, But I'm a Cheerleader, and especially American Pie. With her natural, humorous acting style and unique personality, she quickly became a favorite among audiences and established herself in independent films. However, behind her witty and vibrant on-screen image lay a period of great instability in her personal life. In the early 2000s, Natasha began facing serious problems that plunged her life and career into crisis. At times, she was embroiled in legal troubles and struggled to control herself and maintain her acting career. During that period, her condition worsened due to numerous health and personal life setbacks, leading to a prolonged absence from the spotlight. These years were marked by career interruptions and a negative media image, rather than the film roles she had previously enjoyed. However, after that difficult time, Natasha Lyonne gradually regained her balance. She began returning to work, focusing on rebuilding her career and reshaping her image in the entertainment industry. Her comeback was marked by impressive performances in high-quality television and film projects. Notably, she appeared in the series Orange is the New Black and later made a strong impression as co-creator and lead actress in Russian Doll, a unique work that reflects some of her personal experiences and perspectives. Recently, she further solidified her position through the series Poker Face, where she played the lead role and received many positive reviews. Natasha Lyonne's journey is clear evidence of the ability to overcome crisis and rebuild one's life. Her story shows that, no matter how dark the period, people can still rise up and find their way again if they don't give up on the effort to change. Willie Aames was once a familiar face on American television, famous for series like 8 is Enough and Charles in Charge. At his peak, he earned a high income, was widely loved, and lived in the spotlight of a true star. However, his life took a completely different turn. In a short time, Willie lost stability in both his career and personal life, facing many setbacks that caused his fame to gradually fade and his finances to fall into crisis. At one point, he was in a very difficult situation, without a fixed place to live, having to live temporarily or rely on the help of friends. This was a turning point that caused the image of a television star to gradually fade from the public eye. Afterward, Willie Aames worked hard to rebuild his life, studying and shifting to the field of financial consulting, while gradually stabilizing his life. He also returned to participating in some artistic activities, gradually finding balance again. Willie Aames' story shows that life can change very quickly, but if you don't give up, you can still get back up and start over. Amanda Peterson was a prominent figure in 1980s cinema, particularly for her role as Cindy Mancini in Can't Buy Me Love alongside Patrick Dempsey. With her natural beauty and innocent image, she quickly became a beloved teen idol. However, behind the glamour lay many personal difficulties. In her youth, she faced mental health issues and the pressures of early fame, causing her career to stagnate and lose its momentum. After leaving Hollywood, Amanda lived a more private life and distanced herself from the entertainment industry, but personal problems continued to affect her life for a long time. She passed away at the age of 43, leaving many fans saddened. Her story serves as a reminder of the fragility of fame and the pressures behind the spotlight. Marvin Gaye was one of the greatest soul singers of all time, with classics like What's Going On and Sexual Healing. He not only helped shape Motown music, but also created timeless songs that were deeply emotional and profoundly influenced generations of artists. However, behind the glamour lay a turbulent life. Marvin Gaye faced numerous personal problems, including addiction, financial crises, and persistent family conflicts. Despite his successful career, his private life was always tense and unstable. During a difficult period, he left the U.S. for Europe to find peace, but the mental pressure and family conflicts persisted, particularly his strained relationship with his father. Tragedy struck in 1984 when Marvin Gaye passed away after a family incident, just before his birthday. His sudden passing has been a huge shock and left many fans deeply saddened. Despite his life's many ups and downs, Marvin Gaye's music lives on, continuing to inspire and touch the emotions of generations of listeners. Hollywood is not just a place of fame and glamour. It also holds many turbulent stories of stars who were once at the peak of their careers, but then fell into hardship, even losing everything. These stories reveal the dark side of fame and the harsh pressures behind the spotlight, while also highlighting the value of resilience and the ability to rise after failure. Thank you for watching the video. If you found this content helpful, please support the channel by liking and subscribing so you don't miss the next videos. Let's build a civilized community that respects YouTube's guidelines.